Captain Picard. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
My Readier Room.
Hello, and welcome to the Readier Room, the only and longest-running Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch podcast. Every week, we're coming at you somewhat live with behind-the-scenes stories of TNG, how that sausage was made, and all the hidden lore that you could ever shake a stick at. My name is Mitchell Melch, Chief Consultant of Services, and with me is my life partner, Brandon Hobbs. Brandon, how are we doing today after an extended hiatus?
Yeah, Mitch. Well, I'm doing better. Can't say I'm back to 100%, but thank you for letting the ensigns know that I was in the hospital. Of course, I can't really divulge exactly what the reason for that was, just because I don't want to make the ensigns worried. But interestingly, you said, like the last time we missed an episode, maybe about a year ago or so, you said, we should make this a double feature.
Yeah.
Right? And I selfishly said, no, I will not watch 2 episodes of Star Trek Season 2 at once.
Well, I remember
ever.
I went to the, when you were getting discharged, I talked to the doctor and I said, I asked him, would it be advisable to put yourself through 2 episodes of TNG Season 2 in your recovery state. And he heavily advised against it. Now, I was still willing to risk that, but, you made your decision. And I
well,
have to
understandable. That. Anything for the ensigns, of course, but, if I die, what's going to happen to the show?
Oh, it'll go on.
Yeah?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then maybe we could have done 2.
Yeah.
But I said no, so any ensigns who are wondering why we are behind an episode this week, it's my fault.
Now, I have a question. On the 21st, you were in the hospital. Around, kind of 6:30, did you feel a sudden, boost of healing energy course through you?
Around 6:30 on the 21st?
Yeah.
I felt a little tingle.
Okay, well, that was when I tweeted out to the ensigns the state you were in, and I assume that any tingle you felt was the collective goodwill and prayers that the ensigns sent out in your direction.
It's beautiful, Mitch.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank the ensigns.
Okay.
Maybe that's the reason I'm alive.
Oh, did you want to thank the ensigns?
I did thank the ensigns.
I thought you wanted me to thank the ensigns.
Thank you, Mitch, and thank.
Yeah, you said
no.
You said thank you, Mitch, and thank the ensigns. So I thanked the ensigns.
I didn't command you to thank the ensigns.
You're always commanding me. I can't tell the difference anymore. Look, someone gets out of the hospital, and you're like, okay, you take it easy in bed. I'll get you some stuff, and suddenly they become a fucking tyrant.
I'm not saying I don't appreciate it. You got me lots of chicken noodle soup.
Mm-hmm. Your chicken noodles.
Lots of those little sausages wrapped in whatever that
pastries.
Is.
They're
right.
They're the advanced pigs in a blanket. It's a long pig in a long blanket.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I like to call it the dachshund.
I was a little too delirious to tell what they were, but they tasted pretty good.
Mm. Well, in a delirious state, you just revert back to what you know. You don't really think. It's just instinctual, and inserting those wieners into your gullet was second nature.
And speaking of reverting back to what you know, Star Trek: The Next Generation, huh?
Yeah. It was like a dream that crashed around me and ended unceremoniously when it came time to resume the podcast after the long hiatus.
Yeah.
And it's like,
understandably,
I'm here. I'm still here.
Yeah. right. Well, give us the question of the week. Let's get off of this. Give us the question of the week.
Right, I gotta go respond to these people. Oh, it just never ends. Okay, so this week's question of the week comes from Janice in Brooklyn, who asks, "Howdy, Admirals. Have y'all seen Lower Decks? It's a rootin' tootin' good time. Readierly yours, Janice." Oh, Janice.
Oh, Janice. Oh no.
Oh, Janny.
Oh, no.
Janny. So,
Janny.
Lower Decks, it depends on whose Lower Deck we're talking about. I've seen...
Yeah, what is yeah, we've seen some Lower Decks.
I'm very familiar with, my co-host's Lower Deck here, and, a few more that I really sampled back in college, but...
I need to hear about that, Mitch.
Well, that's what the ensigns are asking about, I appreciate the coded language for our family-friendly podcast, and
right.
but it's a question that bears answering. And so I've seen a variety of Lower Decks. I've seen Lower Decks of different classes of starship, if you know what I mean. And I can easily say that some Lower Decks are better equipped than others for completing the mission.
Right. Right.
How about you? Are you a Lower Deck connoisseur?
Look, I've only seen one Lower Deck in my life, okay, because I'm faithful.
Aww.
Mitch.
It's the most romantic thing you've ever said.
Yeah, I think so. But more importantly, Mitch, I think they're talking about a Star Trek show.
Voyager?
No. It's called Star Trek Lower Decks. It's oh god.
What is this?
Oh god.
Oh no.
It looks like what was that? Morty and Rick?
Morty and Rick.
It looks like a Morty
producers?
and Rick kind of. No. The cartoon, Mitch. You've seen this.
I don't watch
with the
cartoons. I am an advanced aged man. I don't.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, cartoons are for children.
Yes.
Right, let's just get that out there. But this Star Trek show seems to be a cartoon, possibly made in Flash.
Like the superhero?
No, like the multimedia software.
Yes, I'm quite familiar with Flash. So why would they make a Star Trek cartoon? Is my question. And why...
They're still making Star Trek?
Well, we are still making Star Trek. Picard. I mean, yes, Picard 2 has wrapped.
Oh yeah,
but...
I forgot Picard was Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean you wouldn't know by watching it.
Very daring.
Now, is Lower Decks more Star Trek? That's the question I have. Is it faithful to the sterile, slow burn science fiction of perhaps the original motion picture? Then
right.
I would be interested in it if that's the case.
Well, I personally hope that it's full of action, and shooting things, and people having sex, and men spreading their lower decks.
Well, that's a very different type of program that you're describing.
But it is something that we have worked on. So
this is true. Now, does this air? Is this NBC?
This is Hold on, please hold.
Don't tell me it's on Fox.
No, this is CB. No, this is Paramount Plus.
Is that like Channel 6?
No. Paramount. What is Paramount Plus?
Like it's Paramount that you watch this show?
Maybe.
Who's are you reading the press release?
No, I'm on the Wikipedia article. It says it's a second season premiered on Paramount Plus. What is Paramount?
Hold on, I'll let me Google.
Do the
it.
ensigns know? Maybe the ensigns know. Maybe we can just have them tell us.
Paramount. How do I make the plus sign on my keyboard?
Shift.
Shift.
Shift. I don't know, Mitch. I'm not seeing it.
My God. Fuck. Okay, well, this is gonna go unanswered for now until I can figure out how to Google
Why
it.
don't we just kick it to the ensigns?
All right, next week's question of the week, I want, in lieu of a question, I want an explanation of all this.
Mm-hmm.
With this lower decks, this Paramount Plus, this this nudity, these people having sex.
And why did they make a Star Trek that's a gay sex analogy is also paramount plus to your explanation.
Yes. And please explain if this is like a fan thing or if we should be contacting our legal team.
Well, yeah, because we had that Star Trek Continues by Vic Mignogna or whatever way back in the day there, a couple decades ago now, maybe a decade ago, I don't know.
God, you take
Lost track of time.
Opportunity you can to bring up Vic Mignogna.
Well, he's
we'll be out to dinner, and he's just that guy looks like Vic.
Look, he's innocent. He's innocent. Okay, that's it. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry. It's kind of a big thing for me.
I mean, OJ was innocent too, but you don't see me bringing it up all the time.
Well, you. Okay, all right, yeah, fine. We're gonna leave it there. Okay, let's talk shop. Mitch.
All right. I never took shop in high school, but it looked like fun.
Oh, I built a bridge.
Like the card game?
No, like a thing that you drive automobiles across.
Wow, that's a really big endeavor.
No, not a real bridge. I built a model bridge out of wood.
Ah, I see.
It collapsed.
I guess you're not quite the carpenter that you thought you were.
I'm neither a carpenter nor an engineer.
Mm. Now, have you ever burned bridges before? That's a different.
Oh, plenty.
Endeavor. Yes,
plenty, and especially with Star Trek.
Oh God, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of our mission statement on the show.
That's why we're doing the show.
Now, even though I'd never taken shop, it was always my impression of it that at least one kid per year lost a finger.
I did have one of those, yeah, with the buzzsaw.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
The stereotype is like the shop teacher is like this, I don't know, 50-year-old drunk veteran with 7 fingers across.
Yeah, no, he's like a gruff guy that has no hair.
Right.
Much like our captain.
Indeed. So
and
there's something about hair that makes one a worse leader.
Right. It kind of precludes one from being a captain.
Indeed. It's the opposite of the Samson effect.
Which is why Picard is the best captain, of course.
Right. I mean, who else is it gonna be? Bakula? A woman?
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm a colored man? I mean, come on.
And I mean, when the only other choice is Bill Shatner.
Right. Bill.
He can't even lead his Twitter account.
Right.
What a god.
So, there we go. But, a great man in some respects. In a couple of respects.
He's, I mean, he rejected the bald life. He could have been bald, and then
he could have been.
He embraced the toupee cope.
He could have been the go bald, grow a beard kind of cope that those
crazy
sad
people.
Yeah, those sad ineffectual men kind of do.
So here's a question: how do we rank the copes between the shave it, grow a beard, and the toupee wig? And also, let's put hair plugs in there.
What you need to do is, so you're going bald, your hairline's receding, right?
Uh-huh.
Just keep growing it so you have, the long hair in the back, but like that receding hairline.
Right.
And then grow a mustache. And then have like a 5 o'clock shadow.
So you kind of look like I don't know, Joe Dirt, some kind of
Yeah. Or like that what's his name's neighbor from Office Space?
Yes.
Right?
So I think in modern society, 21st century modern society, the mustache is quite underrated. People,
Well, it's looked upon with suspicion.
there's a lot to say about beards,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody embraces the mustache,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
is, he's a fun little guy hanging out for the ride. And, all great leaders have mustaches.
That's true.
I like to say.
That's true. Lenin,
Hitler.
Hitler, Stalin.
It's true. I can't think of a U.S. president that has had a mustache.
Curious.
Indeed.
Curious. Really makes you wonder what the correct political ideology is.
There's a lot of correlation going on, which makes me believe that there's also a lot of causation going on. And mustaches are to be investigated for sure. They might lead the way to a prosperous future, but they can certainly lead the way to your prosperous future if you are one of the on the verge of becoming an ineffectual male with cope out the wazoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I do think there's something to be said about mustaches here.
Now
I think a proper mustache can look really good.
it has to be thick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
it's
love
gonna be full.
Yeah, I love a thick, full mustache.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
I'm biased. I have always said this, and you've heard me say this before, and I've always said this about myself, is I believe that my bountiful mustache is my finest trait as a human being. That and my charity work.
Right.
Yes. Now,
was there a question that you're going to ask me about that, or did you just want to say that?
I just wanted to say that. Now, my question is, why did you want to talk about shop class?
No. When someone says let's talk shop, it means let's get to the topic at hand.
Okay, I thought you meant like let's talk and shop, like go shopping and have a conversation.
Well, we could do that. It is. Does Black Friday extend into the weekend?
Black Weekend?
Black Weekend? Is it Black Weekend? Yeah, no, I mean, we could have this conversation while I shop. Do you want me to shop? What do you need?
Will you drop?
I will shop till I drop.
Wow, that's a lot of shopping. Now, we could record the Readier Room live on location at a Best Buy. On a Black Friday
We
Best
could do
Buy.
that. We could do that.
That would... I'm sad we didn't have this idea before actual Black Friday.
The problem is, Mitch, as the ensigns know, we are recording from Moldova right now.
This is true. I'm going to mold that over. So, yeah. Let's get to the topic at hand.
From Moldova.
Bulldozer.
All right, Star Trek episode...
Go on.
46.
The Emissary. Now, do you know what the word emissary means?
Well, yeah, it's like a person who it's a. I know what it means. God damn it, Mitch! I know what it means. It's a person who is kind of like a go between like, right?
Yeah, kind of like a not quite an ambassador, but somewhat of a dignitary from one group coming into another group for the purposes of relations.
That's right. That's exactly what I was going to say. And
boy, does this episode have relations.
Oh, it has relations in spades. Wow. We have Susie Plaxon back, huh? Yep. Although I might have preferred her as Dr. Sillar. You remember this, the Vulcan.
I had forgotten about that. Yeah, from that one with the guy who takes over Data's body.
Yeah. Oof. She was a piece.
Now,
but, as a Klingon, she's okay.
There's got to be some record for the amount of races a single actor has played in Star
Trek. That's a good question, actually. Yeah.
I know there was like one Ferengi guy who also played a second race at some point. But...
yeah, I think he did a Klingon, actually. I think they all just do Klingons.
Wait,
there's just a lot of Klingons to do.
He became that main Klingon who
yeah.
Picard helped take the Klingon throne from the other Klingon.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all roads lead to becoming a Klingon.
Indeed.
And I think that's the theme of this episode, really.
Yeah. Or coming in a Klingon.
Yeah. So what did you think about the Emissary?
I didn't think it was that good.
No?
It was fine, I guess. It wasn't offensive, for sure. It's nice to have a Worf episode, but this episode really brushes up against the limit where Worf goes from endearing to
Just annoying.
I suppose pitiful. The Worf performance. In smaller doses, Worf's a lot of fun. Michael's a lot of fun. Even though he's just not a very good actor, but the more you focus in on him, it's the holes, the blemishes really start to appear.
Yeah. I think Michael got a lot better going forward.
Yes. Certainly.
And not only that, but also the costume design got a lot better. I feel like at this point still we're at the point where the Klingons kind of look silly.
Yeah, and that's very much highlighted at the end of this episode, the final sequence where the two principal characters appear to be cosplaying.
I didn't hate that costume design though. I don't think it was that bad, but yeah, I mean, I'm almost inclined to agree, but I do think this was a good. I say this every episode, and I'm going to say it again. Good concept, not so great execution. And eventually we're going to get to the point where we have a good concept and a good execution, but it's not now.
Eventually we'll have a great execution of a terrible concept.
Eventually we will, yes, actually. Yeah, I'm sure we will. But I think Susie is incredibly attractive.
Okay. Could you speak more to that?
No, that's it.
Okay.
No. So I think Susie goes a little overboard sometimes.
I did not like her performance very much.
In her, it's almost like she's trying to be comedic.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I'll forgive somebody when you're matched up. Your dramatic pairing is Michael Dorn.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of overly grandiose readings of certain lines of dialogue,
and she's a little snarky, especially in today's context where everything is snarky and you're just kind of fed up with it. So maybe that's kind of coloring my reading of this performance. But I think she's trying a little too hard to be funny. Well, and it's not really landing. They
do insert dialogue about her having a sense of humor and a human sense of humor at that. So
it's a little on the nose.
It was on the nose, but at least the character was consciously written to be, what's the best way to put it? I don't know if funny is the right word, but humorous. Again, irreverent. Second, irreverent.
Well, yeah, and that's it. Irreverent. That's it. Yeah, that's what it is. And you can love it or hate it, but I'm leaning more towards. I'm not too big on all the way that she kind of delivered her lines or did these scenes. But I think there were a few scenes that she did that were perfectly fine.
Yeah, it wasn't all bad. I think that having that streak of humor is a nice foil to Worf, explicitly.
It needs to be. There needs to be something to be a foil to Worf. If you're gonna have a character who's gonna be in a relationship with him to some degree, yeah, absolutely.
As hilarious as it would be to have two Worf personalities in a relationship with one another.
It definitely could not carry an episode, that's for sure.
I would love it if in one of the many flash forwards the series has, Worf just has a Klingon wife, and she's just exactly like him, and the two barely talk. They just kind of grunt at each other.
Well, now we're getting into Seth MacFarlane territory.
Yeah, it's true, but I don't know. I am tickled by this idea. Especially, I'm picturing in my mind there's like a two shot where Worf is to the side of the frame, and his wife just kind of walks in from the right, and they stand next to each other, and they're yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah. So overall, though, I think I like Susie. I like the idea. I like how the episode went for the most part. I definitely like it more than you did.
Okay.
But I don't know if it wasn't a great episode. I can say that.
It was not. I found the obviously the character dynamic is the A plot, the forefront of the story. I found the looming crisis of the Klingon ship to be a little.
I think it was a cool idea.
It was a cool idea, but the way it played out was relatively unimportant.
Right.
And I don't really know. I don't have a solution for that. Sometimes we propose our own write-ups to these episodes. I don't have one. But yeah, it just kind of came and went.
Well, I think we can work through it and create a better episode as we go along today.
I'll say this. I think that if you take that core idea and really expand it, this could have been a two-parter episode. The idea of a rogue Klingon ship from decades ago, is kind of roaming around, terrorizing different defenseless outposts. It has a lot of potential.
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely, it does.
And you could also give the Worf Kalar stuff stuff even more room to breathe, and it was fine. It had more than enough time here, but you could still expand it meaningfully in this two-parter version of the events.
Well, and that's just the thing about Klingons, is that they always need a two-parter.
They do.
Because they're just so interesting.
Was it season 3 or season 4 that was the entirety of it was an extended Klingon affair?
I think it wasn't it? Oh God, what was it? No, because season 3 was Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah.
It was season 4 leading into 5, wasn't it?
That's exactly. Well, that's the two-parter, but throughout the season leading up to that final episode, there's a lot of Klingon, rite of succession, power struggle.
And I cannot wait to get to that, because I love that stuff. That's like my favorite part of TNG, I think.
I like it when Spock shows up and does the sign, the hand sign.
Oh, he does the funny hand thing.
Yeah. It's
yeah. It reminds me of when I was a child.
It's nice because when the episode aired on television and you didn't have a smart TV, you didn't have TiVo, you didn't have the title there, you'd be like, what am I watching? And then, he does the thing. And you're like, right.
All of a sudden, it zooms in on the funny hand thing. And, I almost fainted.
Whenever they said, live long and prosper, I teared up a bit and I said, I will live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Now, I
didn't, of course.
I didn't quite make good on both sides of that promise, but I got one of them.
You have lived long at least. All right. Let's delve deep into this wonderful episode of Star Trek that we both really love and want to talk about very badly.
Oh, jeez.
So, first question to you: Does the Enterprise crew ever finish their poker games?
I have a theory for you. My theory is that you can make bank of the non-transferable faux currency that they use in the post-scarcity society by waiting for all the senior staff to vacate a room and then sweeping in and just collecting the chips.
Why are they playing with the Doctor is my question.
Well, the Doctor seems to be one of the more capable ones among them in terms of poker.
Possibly one of the hottest, too.
This is true. Worf is there, but still.
Yeah. In terms of hierarchy, Worf is the hottest. Pulaski is second hottest, I think. For me, just for me.
No, we stand Pulaski. I mean,
we stand.
The Pulaski makeup was intentionally made to be rather attractive, and it sits on top of
right.
Gates, who has a nice bone structure,
and Gates is attractive, of course. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah. It is what it is. It's attractive. My problem with this scene is that it's yet another poker scene, isn't it? In a season filled with poker scenes for some reason.
Yeah.
And I think by this point, for the Ensigns, it's probably become apparent that someone on the team had become just uncomfortably interested in poker.
I want to see
It's
data
just
collection
everywhere.
on this, like how many episodes, like a scatter plot of the density of poker scenes.
It's in like every episode. There's always a poker scene, and I'm pretty sure I'm contractually obligated to not say who this actually was, who kind of shoved all this poker stuff into Star Trek. But he'd come in every day with poker matches recorded on VHS, and he'd sit us all down, and he would show it to us just muted so he could make commentary, of course. And Jesus, Mitch. Thank God eventually someone told him that we just didn't care.
It's difficult to truly get through to some people like that who are so laser focused and stuck on their
yeah.
interest.
It's the kind of person who like nowadays would play a card game online and take a screenshot of them winning and post it to Twitter
as if anybody cares.
Right.
And it's
no one does.
It's that inability to see that, to be, in this case, showing your poker video or your tweet to a couple dozen people and just not reading the room. Yeah.
So, no one really cared. No one. It's the equivalent of someone posting that and not getting any likes on it at all,
and continuing to do it.
And continuing to do it. So that's, for any instance wondering, just that's it was a particular kind of person, a particular writer with just a little bit of too much influence that he shouldn't have had, shoving poker into Trek, and no one could have known the ramifications that would have had on not only TNG but the rest of Trek in general, where they played poker all the time. All of a sudden,
right? That was
as if it wasn't the future.
That's the only thing that people do in their off time. It's either they go to the super futuristic holodeck or they play a card game from hundreds of years ago.
Interestingly, this same guy would go on to torment us with Nairobian women's backwards curling videos in season 3.
Just moves from one thing to another.
Yeah, it's like with a snap of your fingers, he just becomes obsessed with one thing for like 6 months. And let me tell you, that backwards curling had quite the effect on season 3, and I'm sure we'll get to that. I don't want to spoil anything, but
it's a very pronounced effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we move on, I want to say this is something that that individual could have stood to hear, and I want the ensigns to hear it, that if you at home or anybody you know has a problem with any kind of gambling, whether that's games like poker or blackjack or betting on sports or horse races, please call Gamblers Anonymous. That's, if you're in the United States, our US-based ensigns. That's 626-960-3500. One more time, 626-960-3500. That's Gamblers Anonymous. And if it's you can get the help you need. And if it's somebody you know, you'll get the resources to guide them in a better way. So, wanted to mention that. Don't want anybody else to fall into that gambling hole.
Thank you, Mitch. That's really helpful.
Well, we have a duty here, and it's our responsibility to use this platform for the benefit of the ensigns, of the listeners.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%, and I hope that helps someone.
How do you feel? Thing. I'm still on this room too, so we'll have.
No, I'm still in this room. Okay, go ahead.
Plenty of one more things. How do you feel about the lighting in this scene?
I was going to say something like that, but a little dramatic.
Yeah, it's as if people have this image of a dingy bar, people playing cards and cheating, and outlaws shooting each other, like a saloon.
Like you can't play cards without sitting in the dark.
Right.
And who decided on the mood lighting? Canon wise, was it Riker?
Whose room is that? Is the next
I don't
question.
know. Maybe it's a closet. The thing is, like, we redress and redress rooms throughout the entire series where, we're constantly reusing these sets. And it comes to the point where you start thinking, like, how does the Enterprise have room for all of these areas?
You never get a sense of the scale of the Enterprise, now do you?
And I mean, I guess it's a big ship, I guess, but
it is. There's thousands of people living there.
It's a little weird how often these kind of like one-off rooms just show up.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they had a poker room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that.
Which conceivably you could use the holodeck for.
Given how revered poker is in the future.
Right, it's the only pastime. So I have to mention this because I'm autistic and I mention this every time it comes up, but the string betting has ballooned wildly out of hand here. As there's a sequence where one character makes a bet, then the next character, who I believe is Worf, makes a string bet. He's like, I'll see your 50 and I'll raise you 50. And then the next person's like, all right, I call and raise. And then Pulaski, the third one, says, I'm in. And a little more, or whatever, and it's just people think, this guy. I guess if he had actually put on the official poker commentary, he would know this instead of doing his own. But he just had no idea that A, that's you can't do that, but B, that's not the only way to make a bet or a raise rather.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was sitting here seething watching that.
No, I'm sure you were.
Yeah, you see, you could feel my seed.
The poker representation in the show so far has been absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it's like it's there for lip service only. They should have hired a consultant.
They should have. They should have. If only they knew. But
the final thing. Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
One final thing in this scene.
You're going on a rant. Go ahead.
This is the most important scene in the show's canon, and I need to properly give it its due. There's a shot of the poker table where Worf's winning a hand, or he's in a good position, and Riker's back is to the camera. And I wrote the line down. Hold on. So his back is to the camera, so you can't quite see him, and it's clear that this line was 80 yards in.
Mm-hmm.
And Riker says the Iceman wins again, referring to Worf. But the way he says it is very, very strange. And I would be remiss not to mention that. Like, the Iceman wins again. Or whatever. Just in the way that only Frakes could, as if he has forgotten how to speak English. And
maybe he even did the little eye thing.
Probably, but his back was to the camera is the thing, so you don't know.
Right, you never know.
Now, this leads exactly into what is which is the justification for this whole scene, which is really bizarre because it's not actually that important, but Geordi calls out Worf for bluffing in the final hand before they all go to the bridge. And Worf kind of shrugs him off, and he's like, Klingons never bluff. Which, is perhaps the worst leak in poker history, to just, tell people that you're never bluffing. But B, at the end...
Patently untrue.
But at the end of the episode, that's what it becomes. They put on this guise, and Worf bluffs the Klingon ship to solve the day.
Right. And, yeah. To say an entire species of people does not bluff is
well,
I don't know. I don't know what the purpose is here. There's no strategic purpose to it.
Right. Well, structurally, it's just this line, was this really necessary to foreshadow or signal the end of the episode, which really is so far away from the point of the proceedings because it's not really about their relationship. So it's like, why? I don't even think they were thinking of that far ahead. Really? Because
it's almost like it's entirely disconnected.
Then this first 4 minutes just have no point.
I think they have no meaning.
Oh my god.
Which I guess, there's another point docked from the episode.
There is a lot of wasted time. For example, Data taking 30 seconds of screen time to describe the rules of 7-card stud.
Yeah, so speaking of Data, here's a problem I had where he mistakes the verbs fold and bend.
Yeah.
Which just wouldn't happen. Like, he's a very precise, as we've been shown over the past 40 episodes, he's very precise with his language. So to mistake those two verbs in a particular context, just it wouldn't happen.
They're not even synonyms.
No.
Which is
no,
bizarre.
They're not. No.
Yeah, it's okay. Data's an android.
Yeah, Data's silly. He's not like us.
Just
awful.
And putting aside the fact that they've played poker on screen, 10 times by now, and off screen, it's implied to be super regular. Data would not just be learning what the term fold is.
Right. After all this time, yeah, absolutely not.
God, it's been 40 minutes of talking about the poker scene. It's amazing.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Jesus. All right. Well, let's move on. We move to the bridge where there's a.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we going through this episode chronologically?
Yeah, as usual.
Okay.
I like to go through chronologically so I remember what actually happened in my.
It's truly difficult to remember.
Drunken stupor of watching the episode. So we are met with where where Wesley sits on the bridge? What is that called?
It's not comms. Navigation?
Yeah, but anyway, the girl there has pretty big honkers in this episode.
She does, and she's the way the camera is framed is they're really center.
Right. Yeah. And God bless Cliff. I think he knew what he was doing there.
Well, I mean, there's a reason that Will Wheaton wasn't in that chair, right?
Well, no.
Oh.
No, there was not.
So it's just a coincidence then, a happy coincidence.
It's just a coincidence.
Now, do you think that when casting, I don't know if you've ever asked casting directors about this, but if they intentionally or subconsciously gravitate towards the actresses with large honkers?
Well, this would depend on whether or not I'm their therapist, and I'm not. So
that's true.
Yeah.
But I like to think that just given the size of the honkers, everything gravitates towards them a little bit.
Well, I think they do. Yeah, just from what we know about having worked on Star Trek and thinking about the universe and planetary mass and all that stuff.
Right.
The bigger they are, the more things gravitate towards them.
Is planetary mass where all the planets go to church?
What kind of response do you want from me with that? Yes, yeah, it is. It is, Match.
God, I'm a very learned, worldly individual.
So they have some secret mission going on, right?
Yeah, which by the end of the episode, I wasn't quite sure why the clandestine nature of it was necessary.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Right, because presumably the Klingon ship should still be in stasis, so it's not like they're gonna interfere with the comms. They're working with the Klingons to solve the problem.
Right. There's no reason for it, but anyway, we can't know what's happening. So we're waiting for an emissary, hence the title of the episode, to beam aboard the Enterprise in some kind of space coffin.
Yeah, a probe, a Class 8 probe.
I'm glad you remember that. Yeah.
Well, that was key to the plot. That it was a Class 8 probe.
The Class 8?
Yeah, well, if it was...
because it travels so fast, right?
Brandon, you know what separates the different classes of probe. Don't play with me here. If it was a Class 7 probe, you wouldn't be able to fit inside because it's got a length of less than 1 meter. Come on.
I know. Okay, I'm sorry. It's been quite a long time since we had to deal with probe classes, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Class 8 probe. I
still have the flashcards.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you still have nightmares about them too.
My nightmares are my own business.
I know you do. So yeah, she beams aboard in a Class 8 probe, which is literally just a space coffin. And funny story, actually. We actually filmed that scene pretty early on. It was the first day of filming that one. When Kalar shows up on the Enterprise in that stupid little
Space
pod.
coffin.
Yeah, space coffin. And we actually, our first take, we actually ended up leaving her in there for like an hour. Just accidentally, of course. I mean, obviously, we didn't do it on purpose.
You got to prepare the set and stuff, and there's a break.
So what happened is Rick had actually just gotten a Ferrari. I think it was a 328.
I have no
and,
idea. I'm
and he had run into. Trust me, I know, Mitch. He'd run into onto the set. Telling us, he'd gotten it, and we were all basically required to come out and see him do little circles.
Donuts?
The donuts, yeah, the donuts. He was very proud of that car. He still has it, I think. And we just forgotten that Susie was in there. And that scene where we take the top of the coffin off in the show that you see in the show, that was actually right after we had realized she was still in there. So Cliff just had us just film it right then. She was completely unconscious at that point. So you'll see like a cut where Pulaski, like it kind of cuts to Pulaski, and that's several hours later.
You can tell the actors had actually aged between those two shots.
Right. So yeah, just a fun fact.
Well, as she was getting in there, we told her that we're going to film some of this. You'll be seen before you get revived. So, play dead. Yeah, not dead, but, unconscious. And she really took that to heart. So
she did. Yeah, no, she did. She did a great job.
When she finally woke up, all she asked was, how did it come out? How was the shot? So.
Yeah, no, yeah, she was a proper professional through the whole thing, and it was always nice to have her on set. It's a shame that it was only one more time.
Yeah, so to just drop off the greatest character in the show and then leave us. Now, what tickles me about this scene is, so there's this probe which has shielded somebody from the vacuum of space, and it's beamed aboard, and O'Brien just kind of like clicks a few latches, and the top pops off.
Yeah.
And she's just got like a scuba mask on.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't seem very secure, does it?
No. And you're left thinking why, and then the episode never expands upon why this needed to. It's clearly just for the dramatic. It's a Klingon. Oh my God, she knows war.
Right. Oh wait, she's half human.
Right. Yes. Now, what would have been funny is if it was all up front. Admiral's talking to Picard. She's like, "Oh, we have a Klingon emissary, but she's half human." And then Worf starts like visibly sweating because he knows it's her.
Right.
Yeah. And Picard looks at Worf, and he's like, "Oh, Worf, do you know something about this?"
Right. That would have been good. And look, here's what bothers me about this is that she and Worf meet in the meeting room.
Right.
And she says, "So this is where you've been hiding," as if the flagship of the Federation. Worf is the only Klingon
in the Federation.
On the flagship in the Federation and on the flagship of the Federation. You would know this.
Not a good hiding spot, to say the least.
No, it's definitely not. So, and he's a very high-ranking officer.
It's never made clear what their exact history is, or what was the terms on which they last parted. That Worf became a refugee of sorts.
Right.
Something I want to speak to is the origin of Kalar. Yeah.
Kalar.
I'll never remember this. As stated in the show, you said before she's half human, which was kind of like a much darker history for the character than than it really appears.
God.
When this character was conceived and the episode was still in its infancy, planning stages, she had a very tragic backstory. She had a Klingon, the quote from the episode, she had a Klingon father and a human mother, which to most people would be like kind of like a rape-coded origin, which was supposed to be part of the tragic nature of Kalar. But for some reason, Susie just refused to read that line with the necessary dread and trauma that really sold the concept. So instead, it just became kind of like, oh, I'm wacky and special. I'm
right, and like we said earlier, she was a little too comedic, I think, in her approach, and yeah, it ended up not having the weight that it really was supposed to have. But I guess it worked out for the best in terms of, because we would go on to kind of develop Klingons as a more nuanced sort of species to a degree. Yeah. So it wasn't so bad, but at the time, yeah, I remember Cliff definitely wasn't too happy with the way that was portrayed.
No, we were, in his words, we were killing his baby.
Right. Yeah.
We had to, convince him to keep his name on the script. Mm-hmm. You know how sometimes people use a pen name if they're not happy with
Right. Well, that happened constantly in TNG. I mean, nearly every episode that happened. So
the director, the writer, whatever. Mm-hmm. But he stuck with it, which I was proud of him for.
Yeah.
Because
well, he did eventually kind of. Put more of an imprint on the script than the writers did, I feel like, to a degree.
Well, the reason he really needed to take ownership of it, especially now after the fact, is that this is the soft inspiration for Alexander, which somebody needs to take responsibility for.
Right, because he is a child and he's motherless. So yeah, right. The conception of Alexander is probably the biggest theme of the episode here.
I agree.
And I mean, if it's not obvious to you now, maybe just stop watching Trek.
Maybe just fucking end your miserable life.
Right, maybe go watch Rick and Morty instead.
A little more your speed, guy.
So,
how do you feel about Kalar's complete, refusal to entertain any ideas on the crisis that comes up?
Yeah, so that was something I did want to talk about. Just a quick aside before we get to that, because we're going to lose sight of this, but Kalar's relationship with Troy, like brief.
Yes.
Little.
Now, later on in the episode, Kalar has the best deconstruction of Troy that is offered throughout the series run. She echoes.
What's that?
So Kalar is frustrated after like a fight encounter with Worf, and she comes in and smashes her table, and then Troy comes in, and Troy says, "You're angry," and Kalar says, "Oh, did your finely honed Betazoid senses tell you that?"
Which is horrible writing. For a character whose only job is to sense emotions, you don't want to undermine that.
No, but we've been saying that for years.
We have, yeah, for years now. Yeah, we have, and yes, it was funny. I agree, it was funny, but it was like not something you want to see.
Right, that's the kind of joke
you don't want to see your character treated like that.
The audience can make that joke. You cannot.
Right. So a little bit cynical, but one thing that Kalar said that bothered me, and I'm not sure quite why it bothered me or how it bothered me, and maybe we can dissect it, but she said, "My Klingon side can be terrifying." And so a couple things here. Number one, is this just treading into race realism?
It's got to be, right?
It's got to be. I mean, and number two, is she really that introspective? That she understands that when her quote Klingon side comes out. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, she is written as a woman, so I doubt she could be that introspective. But I'm just picturing this happening in real life. You got a mixed race individual.
Oh God.
It's like, oh my god, my black side can really be terrifying.
Yeah, and that's what bothered me about it. I was like, no, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. God. Oh my god, Kalar. The more we talk about Kalar was a mess with her costumes and stuff.
Oh my god, this is the worst wardrobe for a character I've seen so far in Trek, and this includes the entire race of mildly pudgy white, quote unquote, beautiful people that just wear unflattering shorts and togas.
Right.
Now, the thing is, Kalar wears several outfits, and they just keep getting more and more terrible. Now, I don't have this on good authority. This is my theory, so take it with a grain of salt. But I believe that wardrobe, the department, was challenging themselves to just outdo themselves each time and make it progressively more embarrassing for Susie to wear these things. Because it goes from like an ill-fitting space jumpsuit to a Buck Rogers sci-fi alien getup to like an 80s workout spandex thing. And
I could definitely see someone having it out for her.
Just always bad.
And you know, there's that famous line in the research room, which actually I have a story about, but that we need to share with the ensigns. But the line in the research room where she says, "I needed to make myself beautiful."
Yes.
And she's just sitting there with that disgusting like horn on her head and like this awful costume, and I think she did have a little bit of self-awareness about it, but who knows?
A very prescient reading.
Oh my god. Oh god, I'm hating this episode more as we talk about it.
You can see why I had the opinion that I did.
Yeah, no, I'm getting there. But you do remember the tantrum that Maurice threw about that research set, right? How it was dressed?
That was epic in terms of the stories the crew told. We referenced that one for a while. Yeah, no, it was. I don't know if I can really do it justice, but for the ensigns, and this really was kind of a catalyst. I think this scene or this set rather. So we had this huge computer prop, and if you pay attention, you'll probably see it in pretty much every episode, kind of front and center almost. Really, it was a big deal. We had wheels on the bottom of it to kind of get it around.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a beautiful prop. Don't get me wrong. It kind of did a lot of the work in terms of set dressing for us for the first couple seasons. We called it the Boombox, right?
Right.
And for this particular set, this like research, you know, where Worf and Kalar kind of spend their time, looking at things that we aren't really sure of. Vaguely looking at computer screens. We threw the boombox into a corner, which was kind of a big move because again, it had always kind of been front and center. So we just wanted to shake things up, throw it in the corner, whatever. So Maurice comes on set and takes one look at it and just goes completely red in the face. He is
furious,
seething. So he goes up to Herbert and he just lets him have it. You remember? He's like, oh, this is what did he say? This is Gene's vision.
Yeah.
This is Gene's vision, and you're shitting all over it.
We quoted that for years. Shitting all over it.
You're shitting all over it.
Anytime something happens. You're shitting all over it.
That outlasted Maurice's tenure even on the show, which is amazing. But I do think after this was really the point where set design in TNG started becoming a lot more daring. I think Herman really took that to heart, and it was kind of a fuck you moment, you know.
God, this is dredging up so many memories. Just anytime we were out shitting all over it, it's so good.
Yeah. And you know, it's one of those things too that it's like, you know, for us it was kind of just like a funny moment, but when you watch it like as a member of the audience, it is a pivotal thing. It's like a tiny thing that kind of changes the course of everything for the people who watch the show.
Yeah, that's a lot of the finer details like that, they're subconscious in a lot of ways.
Right.
And you're not privy to it, but your enjoyment and your perception of the show entirely changes based on this. So the people responsible for those small decisions are really, they're the true artists behind it.
They're the heroes, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. But yeah, so we get a lot of she's terrible at her job, huh?
Who's the she we're talking about here?
Kaylar. Kaylar is terrible at her job. She doesn't she immediately just resigns herself to having to kill these Klingons.
Right. She's confrontational, unwilling to cooperate, is willfully ignorant, and very, very hostile to the way others do things, which is bizarre when you're in Emissary, which is your entire job.
Right. Your job is to kind of be a little more open and you know, a little more flexible in the way that you deal with conflict.
Right. And perhaps this is her terrifying Klingon side coming out.
Her being bad at her job.
I mean, it does kind of juxtapose her with Worf, in so far as Worf, his Klingon side comes out a lot too, but he always kind of stuffs it back down in favor of doing his job. Like he ruffles with Picard a few times, and every time he has an outburst, and then he stops for a second and continues on doing what he has to do for the ship, for the mission. And you know, that's cool. Worf being competent is nice, despite how often, you know, we showed him not being competent or being shut down by the other members of the crew.
Right. Yeah, I think it doesn't work here, though. You know, and obviously you understand that, but he's being juxtaposed against just someone who's just bad at their job. Like that's all Kaylar is, really. She's bad at her job.
Yeah.
And if it was a Klingon who was obviously very Klingon-like, then I get it. But she's not, obviously. She's very... So...
And that's the thing.
Then it could be a big character moment for Worf, but it's not here.
They did need to play that up. The role the Klingon ancestry or lineage, culture, whatever, has in determining the efficacy of these people here, because Worf is not half human, but he was raised by humans, which kind of puts the two of them in a very similar situation. And
right. I don't think we had figured that out yet at that point, though. Had we? That he was raised by humans?
It's an excellent question.
I don't think we had. I don't think we'd gotten that far.
Okay, well, that's fair then. In retrospect, this works better, because you could write a storyline with that origin in mind and make the whole thrust of the episode how Worf is benefiting from his human side while somebody else is falling prey to their Klingon side.
That's a really cool idea, right? Actually, yeah.
This episode doesn't really explore that, but from the perspective...
I don't think it didn't have the chance to, really, which is unfortunate, because that would be a really cool episode. A Klingon who is more human than Klingon, and a half Klingon who is more Klingon than human, maybe. Or even just at times.
Right. It needs some, ironing out, but having that as a vessel to explore the balance inside of Worf, you know, the race realism of the situation.
Right, of course.
Is an intriguing premise. And I think it's a better character study than just a romantic couple exploration, which, you know, is another side of Worf, and that's fine, but I don't think
this show ends up just being like, you know, Worf. Well, clearly he didn't have sex with her before.
No, not until this episode.
Because if he did, then, you know, we would have gone into the whole marriage thing. But there was something between them, which, I mean, it's basically an analog to just like two normal people having hooked up once and then like not seeing each other for a while.
Which is bizarre, because that's just an element of human life that Trek fans could never relate to.
Absolutely not. Yeah, what a weird decision.
Now, can I take an aside to throw in some of my complete autism here?
Yeah, sure.
Upon rewatching this episode for the first time, and God knows how long,
Did you get fired from your LGS?
I did not, luckily. I'm on thin ice though. But so I hadn't seen this episode in decades, basically. And when there's that cut to commercial when the Worf and Kayla are in the holodeck, I had completely missed that that sex was implied until until she left, and I'm like, wait a second, that's Alexander's mother. Shouldn't they have had sex? And I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
And I went back to the holodeck, and it's like, oh right, this is a fade to black sex thing.
Yeah. Because she says like some which that was a network thing, of course. I mean, there's nothing we really could have done about that. It's a product of its time.
Well, yeah,
unfortunately
we filmed the scene, but obviously that had to be cut. Just
oh yeah, and actually it was pretty daring too, the way we filmed it.
Right.
Very realistic.
You could see Michael's asshole, and it was ahead of its time.
His lower deck, even
his lower deck, and you would take a long time before that sort of thing, because it was interracial.
Right.
Klingon, half Klingon.
They may release it. I have this on good authority too. They may release it in the 4K HD versions.
I think
just as as a deleted scene.
You can see the individual hairs. If the quality.
I mean, you definitely could. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 4K HD. Yeah, absolutely. Because we filmed that on like proper film.
Right.
Yeah. So wow, the holodeck scene. There's a lot here. There's a lot of meat.
There's certainly a lot of meat. Good lord.
A lot of meat. Jeez. So, God, where do we even start? The monsters.
The monsters. So we have seen these guys before, which is a bizarre but cool callback to these being the go-tos for Worf's holodeck escapades.
Yeah, when Riker stepped in to Worf's training program.
So these costumes are all just things that we've had lying around on the lot from different productions, but because TNG was their most famous outing, collectively those group of costumes became known as Worf's Monster Mash. And anytime somebody needed one of them for TNG, for any production, that's what they would say. It's like, oh, I need the Monster Mash. I need Worf's Monster Mash. And it was a cool mark that TNG made on the Paramount Studios.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame because we ended up leaving those costumes between seasons in what we used to call the garage at the studio, and the air conditioner broke like over the break, and they just completely melted.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the better, I think. Those were part of the TNG canon at this point, but they just weren't going to fit in with the show's evolution. Once the crew's uniforms had progressed to the next level in season 3, those the Monster Mash was a bit antiquated.
Yeah, I guess we probably would have never used them again anyway, because we kind of had like a higher standard to reach, right?
Right.
Instead of a Halloween skull costume
and
on top of
a turtle monster.
Right. But otherwise, it's still classic. I like them. I like them a lot.
They're very solidly. They encapsulate season 2 or the early seasons in a way. They're endearing.
Yeah, they do.
They're a bit off, but endearing, and I respect that a lot.
It's just a shame we didn't film them playing poker.
Now, funny you should mention that, because poker was kind of the my boom on the set at the time, all driven by he who shall not be named.
The my boom, huh?
Yeah, poker was the my boom on the set, and we invited those actors, those stuntmen who are in those costumes to join our poker game, which didn't last so long, but had started in an effort to connect more with the show's ethos. And, they sat around. The masks were off, but they were in the costumes. They were playing some cards, slinging the cardboard. And, yeah, maybe you missed that night. I'm not sure, but...
I mean, I must have. I definitely don't remember it.
We definitely had the Monster Mash poker night.
Wow. Well, there's a little bit of Trek trivia for you.
Now, granted, it was very, very difficult for them to shuffle the cards inside the gloves, but...
Well, yeah.
They tried their best.
It was more a gimmick than anything.
Yeah. And that gimmick worked to our benefit, because, we weren't playing for non-transferable post-scarcity bucks. We were
right. We were playing for real money, yeah.
Yeah. And cleaned up that night. They say stuntmen don't make a lot, but we didn't mind taking what they did have.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh God, where are we? We're still in the holodeck. So there's this romance scene.
Yes. Presumably the actual climax of the episode.
Presumably.
It's off screen, so you can't be sure. But...
Well, no, because before they do the deed, right? There's a little bit of like I hesitate to call it a makeout, but it's approaching it.
It's a
Klingon.
A very intimate scene.
And it's a very confusing scene.
Yeah, you're never quite sure where it's going. And
right.
Even on set, we weren't sure where it was going. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't really. I don't remember where the hand sniffing came from.
That was all Michael. The script was they hold hands, intimate hand holding, and Michael really pushed the intimacy. He just took the hand and took a whiff. And to her credit, Susie followed suit. I talked to her after. She was very confused, but what a pro. And now that whatever Michael's fascination is with the hand is now part of Klingon canon in Star Trek.
I don't remember that at all. What I do remember is that Cliff wouldn't let us wrap until Susie had drawn blood from Michael's hand.
He really wanted a close up of the
he needed her to just dig her fingernails in there. That is real blood, of course. Right. For anyone who was doubting. What people don't know, what the ensigns don't know, is this was actually a compromise. From Cliff's original idea, which was to have Worf just break Susie's arm.
Which, Klingon passion, ferocity, that plays into that a lot. But we had difficulty getting the the arm clearly just bent at
so that's the thing. All the test runs we did, it wouldn't have worked, and we would have done it if we could have gotten a clear shot. But it wasn't meant to be, and I guess it's for the best because the bloodletting scene may actually have been a little more dramatic. A little better suited for our purposes.
Now, I don't want to hear anybody coming in. That's not the color that Klingon blood is.
Right.
This is art we're talking about.
It is what it is. We sacrificed a lot for that scene, so I don't want to hear it either.
I remember afterwards, Frakes kept trying to high five Michael. Just what an asshole.
That's right. Oh man, I feel like we could fill an entire podcast full of Frakes stories.
One day,
every
maybe
episode.
we will.
Yeah, the Frakes files, we'll call them.
Oh, you know what we could do? Because Frakes is such a exceptional individual that has many, many bizarre escapades. We can take a page out of his book and do fact or fiction, the Frakes files.
Oh, fact or that's a good idea. Wow. Huh. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. That could be our second gig.
Or that could just be a recurring segment on the show. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Wow, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's think about that. But let's not dwell on it this episode. Um, Worf apparently having sex as a Klingon means you need to marry someone, which is kind of as what the kids might say, red pilled.
That's, I don't know, it's the cutest little thing I've ever heard about Worf.
Yeah, it's a little cute. Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of
nice.
It's kind of like when if this happened prematurely and Worf's like, oh, maybe somebody falls on him and he accidentally kisses the person who fell on him. He's like, oh, I can never get married now.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a nice little piece of world building, out of context at least. So that scene was actually heavily inspired by a conversation Hans had. Hans, one of our dear writers, one of our greatest writers. That was inspired by a scene that Hans had with a prostitute, actually, where the similar situation. I'm sure you can imagine, and he had proposed to her, and that next line from Susie was, I think, verbatim. I think he said, "Sex doesn't mean anything."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just wish that Hans didn't do this in front of the studio, but it was a formative moment in his life.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job now. I mean, he's got what, like 2-3 kids?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a few years, but he seems to be doing well.
I believe he also had a tour of like this famous chocolate factory at some time. I don't quite remember the details of it, but Hans has a lot of great stories. And
yeah, I can imagine.
Just a wonderful guy.
Good for him.
I wish him the best. Him and
yes,
him and his. Oh God.
All right.
So they make love. Let me say this. Worf focus on we've had sex, now we must get married, really fits Pulaski's characterization of him as a romantic from a previous episode.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
which is a nice little bit of consistency.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Wow. Yeah. So they do have sex. They have sex.
They have sex.
They have sex. They have sex.
They have sex.
But it's in between the commercial break, so we don't get to see it
in this cut.
And in this cut, she refuses to marry him, despite her feelings being sort of contrary to that. She's a career woman.
She's not very good at her career, but she is a career woman.
She's a career. Yeah. And this is basically the end of the episode, because everything that happens after it is fucking stupid.
I mean, yes, it is. There is a great comedy shot in the climax of this episode where they hail the Klingon ship. It cuts to the view screen. The Klingon captain is talking. Cuts back to what you think is Picard, and it's Worf and Kalar sitting in the captain's chair with.
You knew that was going to happen. So, I mean, there was an interesting Speaking of cuts, there was a cut between Worf and Kalar doing their little research in their research room. That like halfway through the sentence, cut to the meeting room. You remember that?
I do.
And it was in that scene where, if you hadn't seen this episode, which we have several times, of course, so I might be a little biased, but if you hadn't seen this episode before, that was the point where you should have known that the solution to this episode would have been to get Worf to be the captain of the ship. Because it's such a simple solution, isn't it?
God, I don't know. I suppose it is. It's clearly the solution that they went with, but
they like the Picard looks at Worf and then the shot just lingers on him for a minute as they're discussing what they should do.
I don't know. That didn't like jump out to me. Maybe I'm just
really
stupid. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I could just be biased because I've seen it so many times, and but it seems to me like that is just the most obvious thing to do. If there's a Klingon ship approaching you and you have a Klingon on board, pretend that they're the captain of your ship. And why belabor the point?
Well, they kind of beleaguer. Anyway, they
why be something it?
Why believe in anything these days? They mention, oh well, why don't you, Kalar, talk to them? And she says that they'll just be distrustful of anything in the Federation, which seems like it would be justification to not go with the Worf captain plan, but also Worf just through bluffing overcomes their distrust.
Yeah.
So, I guess. I don't know.
It seems like a little too. I don't know. It seems a little too simple to have spent so much time on.
Well, clearly
with the whole fake out.
And procuring the costumes. Clearly, this plot thread was not very well developed or thought through.
No.
And well, now here's something. Worf is on the bridge, and he is communicating with the Klingons through a view screen. And presumably there's a shot of them and they have a shot of Worf. And what my question is, when the Enterprise is communicating with other vessels, where exactly is the camera of transmitting their image?
Yeah.
Because Worf walks right up to the view screen.
Right. He's like right in front of it.
And he should presumably be out of the shot, or the shot is extremely wide of the entire bridge, and it's like the camera's inside the screen. So I'm not sure. And I want to know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, is it maybe it's a very dynamic camera?
I suppose, but
it would have to be.
It would have to be. When I was watching the scene, all I could think about is, Worf, you're walking right up to the camera. It's just showing your forehead.
It's just a shot of his crotch.
It's like the Enterprise is a bunch of elderly people trying to use Zoom these days, and
right.
It's just the top half of their head from the nose up.
It's just random body parts on every view screen.
Yeah.
So Worf saves the day, huh? And then he has to send his girlfriend, who is pregnant with his son,
his baby mama.
Yeah, that's probably a better descriptor given what they represent. He has to send his baby mama off to the Klingon ship, where she will no doubt get spit roasted.
Just completely gangbanged.
What a sad ending.
Yeah, I mean, to be cucked while someone's pregnant with your child.
It's just it's such a sad moment for Worf, because she's not good at her job, as we've already established.
Right.
So why continue?
Do you think
why not just be like, okay, fine, I'll stay with you, because there's nothing else I got going for me?
Would she be a good mother? Probably not.
No, but she is kind of hot, so I'd be okay with it. Like if I were Worf, if I placed myself into Worf's shoes, yeah.
Is this a kilf? A Klingon I'd like to fuck?
There's a lot of those.
Like Worf.
Including Worf himself.
So during the climax of the scene, we have a guest star on the show. If you look in the back where Worf's position usually is at tactical, there's Diedrich Bader, who has two famous...
Oh my god, that's right.
He has two famous roles. Perhaps most famous, he was Batman on Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is a children's cartoon beloved by many man children.
Yes, and no one should ever watch that. If you consider yourself to be a respectable human being,
Indeed.
or even recommend it to anyone.
No, definitely not. But he was Batman in that show. And, just a good shorthand. If you're over the age of 17, just anything with Batman in the title is probably better to steer away from. Steer away.
Yeah, that's right. Steer rear.
So this is more important. Dietrich Bader was one of the principal characters on the Drew Carey show. And that was the reason he was here. In Phase 3, our planned Phase 3, TNG was supposed to have a Drew Carey crossover. But as Phase 2 never got off the ground, those plans kind of died. And, eventually both shows got canceled. So, But you always wonder what could have been, right? The road untraveled.
It's amazing how far we went with Phase 1, though.
Yeah. Phase 1, the plan was initially 2.5 years. Ended up being, more than twice that. But
Yep. Yeah, it's a real testament to just how complicated kind of making a television show is, really.
Right. You need to plan out your phases, your productions, well in advance.
And it's just sometimes it just falls through, and what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? So, then the episode ends, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the episode. Have your thoughts changed at all on this episode?
No, absolutely not. I still don't think it's very good.
Yeah.
Have your thoughts changed?
Maybe a little bit. I think I'd watch it again, to be honest. I don't think I hate it.
Like right now?
No, not like a year from now, maybe.
I think even the worst episode of Star Trek I could stand to watch a year removed.
All right, well, let's. I don't think it's that bad. I still like it more than you do, this episode. So
yeah, that's fine. I won't fire you from the show.
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah, no problem. But it's definitely a lot of problems. Its heart is in the right place of wanting a emotion-centered Worf story.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Its heart is in the right place. We say this every week. This has just been every week. Like, yes, it's got a great concept. Completely fails to deliver on it.
Eventually, it'll move in the other direction. As
right.
Again, when we get to the Dr. Crusher romance novel Ghost Story of Season 7, we will not say that one has a good concept. Do you think that whenever... I have no recollection of this happening, but maybe you remember it. Do you think the actors ever accidentally said Worf speed instead of warp speed? Like, let's go to Worf 8.
Worf, yeah. I mean, yeah, I could see that happening. In fact, yeah, actually, that if it did happen, it would have been more of like a season 1, season 2 problem, I think.
Right, until everyone got into the swing of things.
Because we started just calling each other. Well, I say each other. We weren't on the cast, but the cast started calling each other just by their character names eventually. Right. So it kind of became a lot more normalized after that. I don't know, around season 4. I
remember that once the cast started calling Frakes Riker, any girl he showed up with was automatically Diker.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, man. Those are the days. He's still Riker to me.
He'll always be Riker to me. Hashtag my number one.
Hashtag. So, I guess I'll ask you a question, Mitch.
Hey, that's cool. You could always ask it from down on one knee, but that's up to you.
Or two. And, well, my question this week is, do you recognize the line, "Welcome to the 24th century"?
No, but it stuck out to me. Is this this
episode, right?
Yeah. Is this a Ray Bradbury thing?
No. It was used in a previous episode.
Oh, God.
Hold
on. Don't. Okay, go on.
I was just gonna give you one little nugget.
Give me a nugget.
Picard said it.
Yes. I'm trying to think in what context and to whom.
It was a first season episode.
Yes. I'm picturing him saying it not overtly like Worf did, but rather like he's gazing upon something and he mutters it. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he says it to someone. Says it to someone.
Welcome to the 24th century. What the fuck? Who is this? In the first season, there's... Those African people were not literally from the past. They were just...
no, they weren't. They were just racist.
Oh, jeez. There's that time travel loop with Picard finding another Picard, but that was just like a few days or a few hours. Who does he say this to?
It's a group of 3 people. You remember this.
It was not that mute deaf guy's aides.
No.
Although those were 3 people who inevitably became skeletons.
It was a group of 3 people from the past. Well,
yeah. Who was from...
You know what I mean.
I'm thinking of the fucking hotel where there was that novel and the astronaut.
No, that's not it either. Because Picard was barely in that episode.
Yeah. Oh, fucking man.
I think that was season 2 also.
I'm losing my mind here. Yeah, oh god. It's not those Ferengi were kind of dressed like cavemen, but that wasn't it.
No, they were humans.
Oh, Jesus. Now, it's not anybody on the holodeck, right?
Not the holodeck. They were real people.
It's not when that cantankerous actor left the holodeck and faded into Data.
Right? No, it's
Lawrence,
not.
Wasn't Lawrence Tierney?
Oh, I forget. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah,
not him. Who?
It was not him.
Time traveled.
It's not so much time travel as it is being cryogenically frozen.
Oh, okay. It's the country singer and the rich guy and that woman.
Yeah, but which one did he say it to?
Okay, I have a 33% chance of this. I think it was the woman.
It was the woman.
Yes, I recalled her being the first to awake.
Good job.
God, wow. I had completely forgotten about that episode.
Yeah, me too. The Southern guy was a treat, though, wasn't he?
He was the country music star.
Yeah.
And his affinity for Data was adorable.
Yeah.
What happened to those
cute.
3? Did they get shipped off to Earth, and did they die or something?
Yeah. I think they met up with another ship and kind of just forgot about them. They just shipped them off to.
What was even the struggle of that episode? The plot. Like they wake up.
Well, there was that. I think there was like they were being attacked by Romulans too, or something. The Enterprise was
right,
or maybe
no.
Ferengi. I don't know.
There was some kind of negotiation because we're like, okay, the business guy is going to come in and show his acumen in this negotiation, and it never happened. And
I don't know.
We were perplexed by that.
I'm pretty sure it was just the conflict between these guys who woke up in the future and didn't know what was going on, and then there was just like
definitely an adversarial alien race there.
Maybe like a Romulan. I think it was just like a Romulan ship or something, and
yeah,
maybe they entered the neutral zone. Who knows?
Maybe.
I've already forgotten.
Maybe. If I ever opened a gym, I would call it the neutral zone, and that's my enter the neutral zone. Or maybe a salad bar, perhaps. I'm trying to think of what the neutral zone, what type of establishment that fits.
Right.
Arbitration.
Maybe a Buddhist meditation class.
Maybe a law firm. Instead of being 3 Jewish names, it would just the phrase quote 3 Jewish names end quote is a great name for a law firm.
That's actually really good. Yeah, that's funny. I like that. 3 Jewish names.
Better than the neutral zone.
Yeah. Well, I think we figured out our new business prospect here.
We're always on the hunt for new prospects. We're prospectors.
Mm-hmm. We do prospect.
Yeah, there's gold in them there hills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Figuratively speaking.
Right. So my real question is: them there the pronouns of the gold or the hills?
Well, the hills, obviously.
Sensible chuckle.
It's obviously the hills.
Obviously the hills. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Readier Room. Join us next week when we have more TNG and more Star Trek. Shout-outs to our brand new sponsor, Baskin Robbins, the home of the 31 flavors. And if you say Readier with your order, you'll have access to the secret 32nd flavor. So join us next time for more hot tips, hot stories, hot lore, and cool ice cream. And until then, everybody, stay Readier.
The troublesome little man-child.
Consider that in the history of many worlds, there have always been disposable creatures.
Do you consider yourself superior to us?
Should have told him to mind his own damn business.
But I stroked the beard thusly. Do I not appear more intellectual?
Computer! Freeze program.
It's not a promising beginning.